So here we go. So hi and welcome to the fourth and final session of the Interscholastic Sailing Association's High School Sailing Coaches Masterclass. I'm Dave Perry and I'm sitting here in Southport, Connecticut, about an hour from New York City, and I'm joined by my friend and colleague Steve Hunt, who's out there in the sunshine of San Diego. And Steve and I are happy to spend the next hour with you all talking about one of our most favorite parts of the sport, 3v3 team racing. We welcome, as always, your questions and your comments in the chat. And there's a lot of experience in this group, so you can answer the questions that are in there and make your own comments. We're recording the transcript of the chat, so go ahead and put in there what you like. So Steve, as we just said, we're going to be talking about 3v3 team racing in this session, what it is, how it's structured, what are some of the strategies for the start around the course. And I'll assume, as in all groups, we have a wide range of team racing experience. Maybe some people that aren't familiar with team racing, and maybe some people that did it a while ago and now they're coaching it, and maybe some very advanced team racers. So your teams at the Point Loma High School in San Diego have won 5 Bakers, which of course is the high school national team racing championship. So it's great to have your input here. So would you kick us off and explain what team racing is and why you think it's such a good thing for school sailing?
Sure. Well, we're going to talk about 3 versus 3 team racing, which is literally 3 boats versus another 3. And the great thing about it for me is that it's a team sport. You know, I played basketball in high school, and I really loved working with my teammates to try to beat the opponent. And usually sailing is just every team for themselves. And if you're not doing well in the race, it's a struggle. And but team racing is great. If you're doing well, you can slow down your opponents and help your teammates out. Or if you're behind in the race, your teammates are slowing down the race to help you, which is great. It also adds some fun to practice. You know, I think fleet racing training can potentially get boring over time, but team racing opens up a lot of doors and various drills and fun, you know, hand-on-hand combat that adds some spice to practice.
Yep.
It also really helps you improve your boat handling with all the starting, stopping, and slowing and match racing. And then finally, I think it's really great for the crews. You know, a lot of high school crews don't talk a whole lot, and team racing encourages that. You know, often the skipper is involved in a one-on-one battle, and the crew really needs to step up and explain what's happening in other places around the race course. You know, they say eyes opposite of the skipper, and maybe call the next puff or what your other teammates are doing, or if someone's spinning, the potential combo. So it's really great all the way around.
Really, really cool. So how do they do the scoring in team racing? How do you figure out who wins?
So they literally just add up each team's score, and 10 points or less wins. But rather than doing math around the race course, you know, Gary Bodie at the Naval Academy in the 90s came up with combos and plays. And those combos are combos that win and combos that lose. So by memorizing those and figuring out what your team's in, you can figure out if you're going to win or lose without doing math as you sail around the race course.
Cool. Well, it's great you mentioned Gary Bodie. Gary Bodie and Ken Legler, 2 of the legendary team racing coaches from the 90s. Of course, Gary at ODU, then at Naval Academy, then Hampton U, and Ken Legler, the legendary coach from Tufts. They did an iconic article on team racing in the Sailing World magazine issue back in the 90s sometime. Here's a picture of Gary and Ken on the board, but I put it in the pre-read. So if coaches haven't seen that before, enjoy that one. It's a great one. So how does the race course, what do you use for a race course in team racing?
So I'm old school. When I did it in college, it was a triangle, but now it's a digital N, which I think is better. And it literally looks like a block N on the chalkboard. And I think it's important for the coaches to really understand which marks are which, and they're labeled Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and Mark 4. And it's helpful in the debrief to be able to say, you know, hey, Johnny, remember that trap you did at Mark 2? You know, XYZ happened. And it's nice to place the action on the race course in a certain spot because so much happens during a team race. And the course is pretty nice too. If you want to do a fleet race at the end of practice, you can just leave it and fleet race around it too.
Perfect.
Yeah. So Dave, I mentioned the 3 plays in 3v3 team racing. How does a team know what play they're in? And can you explain those to us?
I'd be happy to. You know, like you, I love team racing because almost half the boats in the race are on your team trying to help you.
Yeah.
And one of the mantras in team racing is teammates help teammates. But just like in any sport, you got to know what the play is. You have to know, which way you're going. It's just like in football, if the guard's going left, the tackle's going right, there's a big hole and the quarterback gets slammed. So the point of the plays is so that everyone on the team knows what the objective is and knows whether they're playing forward or playing back. So that's the whole point. And as Gary came up with, there's 3 plays, and they're universally used. No one tries to disguise them. There's no Omaha. And the plays are based on the combination you're going to try and finish in. So if you're in play 1, you're going to try to finish in first, second, anything. That's what you're going to try to finish. Just play 1, because that's the highest you can finish. If you're in play 2, it means your team wants to finish in a 2-3-4. That's their objective, to get to 2-3-4. It's called play 2. And then there is no play 3. And then play 4, your team's trying to finish in a 1-4-5. That's the objective. So all the play is saying, look, wherever we are in our combination, we want to finish in those combinations. And those 3 are the most stable combinations.
So what do you mean by most stable? What's that mean?
Well, stable just means that they're the hardest to defeat. They're the strongest combination, and it's the hardest for the other team to break it up.
Okay, gotcha.
So how do you know what play you're in? Well, let's look at race 1 here. Team X is in a 1-3-6 at some point in the race. So they got to figure out, well, which of the 3 plays are they the most likely to be in? Well, the 1-3 can easily turn into a 1-2. So they're in play 1, and they're going to try and convert the 1-3 to a 1-2. The other team is in a 2-4-5. So what play are they in? Well, they got the 2, the 4, the 5. They can convert the 2-4 to a 2-3. So they're in play 2. They're going to try and get to a 2-3-4. Now, how about race 2? So if you're watching here, you can ask yourself, if you're team X, what play would you be in? Well, you're in the 1-4-6. Well, 4-6 could become a 4-5, so you're in play 4. Now, how about team Y? They're in the 2-3-5. Well, the 2-3-5, it seems logical they're in play 2. But imagine, Steve, you and I are the 2-3. And we're going down the first reach, and the 1's right ahead of us. And we're both about to go down the run, and for some reason, there's a big gap behind the 3. There's just it broke into 2 groups. So you and I might say, hey, we can get that turkey. We're going downwind. The boat behind has the advantage. Maybe we do a high-low. Maybe one of us can get around the 1. Now we're in the 1-3. We convert that to a 1-2. Boom. So let's go play 1. Let's play forward.
Let's do it.
Or you might turn to me and go, hey, Perry, you get your match racing brain on. Let's not chase the 1. We don't chase in team racing. The 1's a little too far ahead. Let's not waste time. Let's go back and convert the 2-3-4 right now. So we're in play 2, and let's go back. So it's just a way to communicate how that works.
So how do you know, how do people know what they're supposed to do? So you know what play you're in, but how does each boat know what they're supposed to do?
Perfect question. So I always say that when you get into the pass backs, it's a 2v1 sport. It's 2 against 1. So that's the way to think of it. Just like in soccer or other sports, it's 2 against 1. So here's an example. Let's look at the red team here. The red team is in a 1-3-6 going down the first reach, 1-3-6. Well, what play are they in? Well, they're in play 1. They're going to try and convert the 1-3 pass back. All right, well, who's the actor? Who's going to do something? Well, I always say look for the ABA pattern. A are the good buddies. A is your team. So it's friend, foe, friend. So you can see it right here. In the 1-3, you've got 1 is the friend, 2 is a foe, 3 is a friend. ABA. In the ABA, the first A is the actor, the A1. They're the actor. What's their job? Well, their job is to grab the B, the bologna in the sandwich, slow them down, and let their buddy, A2, go into the first. Let me show you how that looks with a little animation here. So there we go. The A1 is slowing down the B. The A2 becomes the A1, and there it is, the 1-2. Now, if they're in the 1-3-6, the other team's in the 2-4-5. So now let's say the blue team. So now the blue team is the A in my ABA system. So Blue's in a 2-4-5. Well, that's their combination. What play are they in? Well, they're in play 2. Well, who's the actor? Well, look for the ABA. So here it is. 2, 3 is the bogey, 4 is the teammate. So 2, 3, 4, that's the ABA. Who's the actor? The A1 is. What's their job? To slow down the B and let their teammate go by. What they might do in this case is maybe they're trying to slow down and maybe the B goes to leeward of them. So let me show you how that would look. So their A1 pulls in their sail, B gets stuck to leeward, and boom, the A goes right over the top. So that's the ABA with a slowdown. Now it's possible you get a third variation where you get 2 teammates behind a bogey. I call that the AAB. And the AAB might be the 2-4-5, like we just saw. Or maybe it's the 1-5-6. So here we go. So we have the 2-4-5. Well, in this case, the 2 A's behind the third place red team is going to do something about it. So the first A is going to go up and try and delay the B. Try and slow them down a little bit. And hopefully the other teammate can go by. So let's take a look at that. This is where you do the high-low. The high-low is where the first A goes up, delays the B, and the second goes by. So you'll see it here. So here's the first A going high, the B goes to defend. The second A goes low. What goes up needs to come down, and boom, there's your ABA. Now they're not done, but now they're in the ABA. The new A2 becomes the new A1, grabs the B, and converts it. So that's how that works.
That's cool. So it seems like it helps the kids if they can figure out, okay, what's the ABA pattern? And that guides them on who the actor is and what each boat's role is in the pass back.
Yeah, exactly right.
Beautiful. I like that.
So another mantra in team racing is teammates don't let teammates finish last. The game is usually behind you. So one reason that fleet racers have so much trouble in team racing is that they're always hardwired to play forward. But a good team racer knows that the game is back. So let me show you a perfect example. So team X is in the 1-3-6, and team Y in the 2-4-5. So on team X, the 1-3-6, they're in play 1. Who's the actor? Well, we just found out the 1 is the actor. And their job is to grab the 2 and let the 3 go by. But on the 2-4-5, who's the actor? The 2 is the actor. And what's their job? Their job is to grab the 3 and let the 4 go by. Well, imagine the 2 grabs the 3 and converts the pass back before the 1 gets off their butt and does it. Well, then it's gone. The 1's lost their chance. So another great saying in team racing is, do unto them before they do unto you. Or the team that acts first usually wins. Or as my mom always says, we drove into a busy intersection, he who hesitates is lost. So that's how it works. And I like the crew to be involved, going down the first reach, especially when it's clear the combinations. What's your combination? And then what play you in? Then find the ABA, who's the actor, and what's their role. Now, listen, there's a lot in there. But in the pre-read, I put a lot of useful papers. And this paper I'm showing on the screen right now from the Norotan Yacht Club, one of the Grand Prix yacht clubs from Darien, Connecticut. And they are one of the best team racing clubs. And they put together this paper which shows for every combination, is the boat playing forward or the boat playing back? Very helpful. That's in the pre-read. I also put notes in from the Pequot Yacht Club, where I'm a member. We have a very active team race program. And I went around the whole race course saying exactly what each boat should be doing and how they should be doing it, including some rules analysis and some tips. And then, of course, the U.S. Team Racing Association, which was born in the early 90s to bring the sport back to life, they have some great papers, which you put in the pre-read. One, it shows all the winning combinations, whether you're going 2v2 team racing, 3v3, or 4v4. So it's all in there. And then they put a glossary of terms like high, low, pass back. They're all in the USTRA paper, which is all in the pre-read. So Steve, that's sort of the overview of how the game works. But let's go play the game. So let's go to the starting line. So tell us, what are some of the strategies in the starting line? How do you organize your team, and what are they trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. So there's two basic schools of thought. One is called man on man, where each of your teammates just picks another boat from the other team and they try to beat them off the starting line. The other is called the geographic start, where you pick, your team picks or you as a coach pick who starts at the boat, who starts in the middle and who starts at the pin. And 12 years ago, I made an instructional team racing video, and I interviewed Tim Wadlow, and he spoke a lot about starting, and they had won every team racing regatta on the planet the previous year, including the World Championship. So let's listen in on what he has to say. We also put this in the pre-read. I used to sell it, but I'm sharing it with the group just so we can all get better. It's perfect for high school teams and kids learning how to team race. So let's listen to Tim here on starting.
Tim, can you share any other techniques that will help teams improve their starting?
Sure. Well, I mean, team racing, as it's gotten more advanced, sort of breaks down into 3 individual match races that are going on. And those match races may sort of interact with each other, but I think probably a really basic skill that everyone needs to have is just being really good at match racing. And there's a lot of ways to study match racing out there. You know, sort of the basics of the lead chase game, coming from the safe zone in the lower right corner. And, you know, being really good at the time and distance in that lead chase game, so you know whether you want to be leading your opponent or trailing, and, you know, whether you're leading or trailing, knowing how to defend or attack from those 2 positions.
Thanks, Tim. Tim mentioned the lead chase game, and that often a team race start comes down to 3 separate match races. Let's discuss some basic strategy to help you win your match race.
That's some good info. So, you know, he mentioned it boils down to 3 match races. And Dave, we have you, the match race master. You know, I'd love to talk about it, but I'd really love more to hear you teach us a little bit. So can you give us some tips on just basic match racing, but maybe for the boat starter, and maybe some tips for the middle starter and the pin starters? How can they actually win their match race?
Well, I'd be happy to. And first of all, thanks for donating your DVD to the high school coaches. It's in the pre-read, and I appreciate that. And I got to say, Steve, you haven't aged a bit. So,
yeah, thanks. That's what twins will do to you.
But sure, I'd love to talk about the tactics of starting. And, you know, the start's probably like in every other part of the sport, you know, 60 or 70% of the race. So you really want to get it right. And as Steve says, each boat in the geographic start, each boat will be assigned a position, either win the boat, be in the middle, or win the pin. So there's a little pre-race homework that you need to do. If you're going to be assigned the boat, then you have to make sure that you get the lay line to the boat. And I do 4 or 5 runs, find out exactly where I'm going to be going right by the committee boat on close hauled, and then what lines up with that. Or if I'm the pin person, same thing, 4 or 5 tries at the pin, get that lay line absolutely nailed, find my line sight for that. And then if I'm middle or pin, you need to get the line sight, if you will. You need to go outside the committee boat and sight down the line and find out what line's on shore. So those are really important. And then while I'm doing that, I'm also using those runs to figure out my acceleration and how long does it take me to sail 4 or 5 boat lengths. Every boat's a little different. Every wind condition has a little different acceleration. Maybe there's some waves, and maybe there's some current, and maybe there's some shifts. So all those things factor into figuring out exactly where that lay line is. Now, one thing to remember is that the rules go into effect at the preparatory signal, which is 2 minutes before the start. So it's a good discipline to have all 6 boats out to the right of the committee boat at 2 minutes. In match racing, we call this the playground. Here's the starting line between the committee boat and the tetrahedron. And you can see all 6 boats. These are college team racers, some of the best team racers on the planet, all very disciplined. And look, they're all out here at the right of the committee boat at 2 minutes. Now, the other thing, as Tim Wadlow said, is it turns into 3 match races. That's about 1:45 to go here, and take a look. Here are the 2 boat people up here already starting to play. Here are the middle boats starting to play down in here, and here are the pin boats headed in for the starting area. So it's pretty important that everyone stays in their own region. So the pin boats usually go into the starting area first, between 1 minute and 45 seconds to go. The middle pair goes in second, and the boat pair doesn't get to the boat until right before the start. Let's watch the boat pair fight. When I'm the boat person, I try to stay as far away from the committee boat to the right as possible. In fact, I like to have everyone in front of me so I can see all the action. I can watch how my teammates are setting up, and I can look for my bogey. And in fact, if you team race throughout a whole day, you begin to know who your bogey is, and it gets kind of fun. Here, the orange boat person has got himself caught on the other side of the committee boat. And you can watch the yellow boat person using your starboard card just to keep him over there sort of in jail. And then the orange boat person makes a big mistake here in the jaws of death, and they try to go through and they foul. And now they have to spin. Of course, you can spin right away. It's a tack and a jibe, which they're doing right there. But that leaves the yellow boat person to set up on the ley line perfectly, how they know where it is, they've done their homework, and then to pull the trigger at the perfect time, because again, they've done their homework. So here we go, the yellow 16 does a perfect job winning the boat. 3, 2, 1, there's the start. And their job, of course, as Steve's going to explain, they're the guardians of the right. Now let's focus on the middle. The job of the middle boat is just to get a good start, beyond the line somewhere, on time, at speed. Very often, if you have one starter who's really fast, one sailor on your team really fast, put him in the middle. Or maybe you have a sailor who isn't comfortable in the hand-to-hand combat of match racing. So again, put him in the middle. And tell him if you're going to start to leeward of your opponent, try to start close to leeward him so you can pinch him off. But if you're going to start to windward of him, then start about a ball length to windward so that you can live and pin him. But sometimes the middle can be involved in the tactics of the pin of the boat. Here's a situation where the orange pin boat was early and they've had to tack early. And the yellow boat, the pin person stepped up with them and controls them. So now the middle person is going to bear off, go under their pin person, call switch, and the middle boat's going to take the pin. But it's important to say the word switch. And now the pin boat for orange is going to start in the middle. It's not a set play. It's an organic play, but it's always there. And a heads up middle, especially a heads up middle crew, can often come to the rescue of their pin boat or their boat. The last one is the pin starter. That's the toughest one. Winning the pin is the hardest, so that's where you put your best starter. When we say, oh, Dave Dellenbaugh on our team, he's one of the best starters in the game, so he's always our pin person. Here you can see white number 6 is the pin person for the white team, and black number 3 is the pin person for the black team. Usually the leading is stronger, but leading is harder. Here's the white pin person leading back, and their job is to delay the game, slow it down, kill time, and make sure they don't get hooked. Make sure the pusher doesn't get into leeward of them. Every time you see the pusher go down, you're going to see the leader go down to defend it. Of course, the pusher wants to be out of phase with the leader, up and down, and try to get themselves hooked if they can. But now here, the pin person has done a good job of locking the pusher in. Now their bow is stuck to windward. I often like the crew to look back and say they're locked. It's harder for the skipper to see that. At some point, the black windward boat's going to tack onto port. It's called stepping up. And you're going to see the white boat go right with them. It's important to step up right with your bogey right there. So boom, there it is. Perfect step up. So now white number 6 is controlling the pin, except look at the middle number 2 for the black team. They see an opportunity here. They see the pin white boat is kind of occupied. Maybe they're going to come in and try and hook them and steal the pin and call switch. But you can see the number 6 skipper look back at the right time, see him coming, tack, and then put their bow down hard to defend against the hook. Boom, there it is, down hard. And now the pusher is locked in above, so white number 6 can just be patient, hold them up, wait for the perfect time to pull the trigger and win the pin. 2, 1, start. Textbook job of winning the pin for white number 6. All right, Steve, well, now the race has started, so take it from now. You're on the first beat. What are some of the tactics and strategies for the first beat? You know, what do you have your kids thinking about on the first beat of a team race?
Well, I like to have the team just go fleet race mode for the first bit, the first third of the beat, and just go fast. And ideally try to emerge into play 1, 1, 2, or 1, 3. And ideally you don't have to team race much if you can do that. So you try to do that. And there's some more nuances. The pin in the middle boats especially go fast. But the boat keeper, or the boat starter, is the gatekeeper, as you mentioned. Let's say I'm the boat starter and you're the pin starter. I have to make some decisions. And if you do a great job and pinch off your opponent, it might get flushed out towards me. You may yell incoming, or your crew might yell it. My crew may tell me, hey, incoming. And as you said, I try to protect the right. So rather than let them duck me and get to my right, I face or I lee bow and try to protect that right. And then after we boat speed for a while, and halfway up the beat, we assess, how are we doing? And it's great if the crews really contribute to this and they look around and say, hey, we have first place and third place, or whatever the case may be. Then we may do a pass back to try to get into a stable combo if we're not in one.
Nice.
And if we're not doing well at all, we might say chasing. And that means we just need to go fast and keep it close and try to get back into the game. Then as we get to the top of the beat, they say the strong side in team racing is the right. So at the top of the beat, when everyone's going to come together, you want to shift over to the right. And like you said, as the boat started, I want to protect the right. And the reason is if you're coming out of the right at the top, you have starboard, and it's really strong. And so the last little bit of the top, for you, example, when you started the pin and went left, I want to try to get you across. So at the top of the beat, they say, get to the right and then get the left across. So I may swoop down and slow an opponent to let you cross both of us. And now we may round in the 1-2.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
You're so fast, you're there anyway, but.
Not anymore, my friend. So you mentioned passbacks. So tell me, what are passbacks and how do you do them?
All right, well, let me share my screen here and we'll watch a couple. So there's two styles of passbacks upwind. One is called out the front. And basically, if you're ahead and you see that you can slow an opponent and help a teammate out, and they're kind of bow even, the opponent and your teammate, you swoop in, you get advanced, and you luff your jib. You'll see that this crew luffs their jib early in this video to slow actually your wind shadow down. You put your wind shadow on the other boat, then you luff your jib to slow down, and it slows that opponent, allowing your teammate to sail out the front. Let's watch this. Here we have the two white sails versus the red flag main. Middle boat also has a bit of red on it. This is a standard pass back. The leader sees his teammates kind of bow even with an opponent, so he tries to get advanced onto his breeze, luff the jib to slow down a little bit, and his buddy just shoots out the front. They've just gone play one. Nice one.
Cool. So what's the red sail supposed to do? What do you do if you're in the meat and the sandwich?
So that's an important skill to know. If you're the meat in the sandwich or the pig in the middle, you want to try to make that pass back either not happen or take forever. And the theory there is that if you can have two opponents going slow with you for a long period of time, somewhere else on the race course, you have two teammates going fast against one opponent. So what you need to do is, as you said earlier, do unto others. You try to lock in on that 3 while the 1 comes down and starts slowing you. Now everybody's just going slow for a long period of time.
Gotcha.
So this is the other type of pass back on the open course. It's called out the back. And you do this if you're near a ley line, or if you notice your teammate is a bit bow back on the opponent. It's easier for them to shoot out the back. And then also in big breeze. You know, I've found in big breeze, it becomes more of a boat speed race, and luffing on someone doesn't seem to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think it's because you're so overpowered. It goes from 20 knots to 18 knots, and they're still fine, and they go fast. So in big breeze, I think you use this pinning technique more often, and especially near ley lines. Let's watch. Here's another pass back opportunity where the leader's going to come in and pin the middle boat, and his buddy's going to try to tack out. Nice. Especially powerful near ley lines. That's called out the back. Now the leader can just pin a little bit past ley line, then release, and it's perfect. Nice.
Really cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So, quick recap. We come off the line, we go fast. Halfway up the beat, we try to see what combo we're in. We maybe do a pass back. At the top, we shift to the right. And now we're coming in at the top mark, ideally on the strong side. And Dave, can you walk us around? Like, how do we get around Mark 1 well as a team?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And that was great. So the first thing you have to know is that in the racing rules of sailing, there's a rule 18.3. And it's the rule that says if a boat tacks in the zone, it can't make another boat have to go above close haul to avoid them during the rounding. But that rule only applies at marks to be left to port. So that rule does not apply at a windward mark to be left to starboard, which of course in digital end it is, which opens up quite a tactic. If you look at the two red boats coming in from the strong side, as Steve was saying, the first starboard tacker tacks in the zone. But because they tacked in the zone, because 18.3 doesn't apply, they still have all their rights. And then when the blue boat gets to windward of them, they can actually hold them up and set a trap and let their teammate go by. Here, let me show you how that works. So you can see S1 tacks in the zone. Now she luffs and her teammate goes by. So that's a trap you can do with our marks to starboard.
Nice.
Now another situation which comes up is you've got the red team coming in on the starboard strong side, but the port team was clever. If you're ever coming in on port, you always want to overstand. And it's so important to be 1 or 2 boat lengths over the port ley line if you're coming in on port. Why is that? Well, when starboard gets in here, her only play is to tack around the mark. That's her only play at this point because port's not trying to cross her. And if starboard goes a little past the mark, as she does in position 2 here, then the first blue boat just goes in and ducks her. And there's no way starboard can stop her from rounding the mark. At first, she's on starboard going the other way. And when she tacks onto port, she's a windward boat. She has to keep clear. She's an outside boat. She has to give mark room under 18.2a. And the lure boat didn't get there from clear astern. So she has full luffing rights. And she can turn into a trap and let her own teammate go by. So watch the mistake the red boat makes and how the blue boat capitalized on it. So you see the mistake is that starboard doesn't tack around the mark. She goes a little farther and opens up the door for the first blue to go in there. Now the first blue has complete luffing rights and lets her teammate go through. Now what the starboard attack boat should do there, Steve, is slow down. They should slow down as they're coming in here. Let the port blue boat get advanced. Then they can use their starboard card. So you can see in this animation, the lead starboard tacker slows down. Port gets pinned on her, and then she lets her teammate go by. Let me do that one more slow motion. So the key is to try and get port advanced into thinking they're crossing. So there's starboard lets her sails out. Port gets a little advanced. It's a mistake, but people make mistakes, and there's the pass back.
Beautiful.
Let me show you a video. I know we're supposed to do the windward mark, but a lot of the action of the windward mark is set up right off the line. So here's the start. Do the orange team against the black team. We can see how the black team here, this boat number 3 won the boat. Very good. They're pinning number 5. Here's the middle pair, orange 4 and black 1. You can see orange 4 is about a boat length of water up here. So she's controlling boat number 1. Well done. And down here, you see the pin boats. And I say orange 6 has about a boat length of water to windward of black 2. So I give the start to orange. But watch the mistakes orange makes one by one here to give up control of this leg. First of all, boat 1's going to tack out here. Boat 4 should match the tack and defend the right. But instead, they're going to let 1 tack and go underneath them here. That's mistake number 1. You never want to let a boat get to your right. Now you're going to see boat 6 tack out here. And you're going to see a nice job up top here. Black number 3 sees them coming. Crew probably says incoming. And watch how black 3 tacks underneath the orange boat. And now the black team has 2 boats leading out to the right. Well played. But the biggest mistake comes right here between orange 5 and black 2 is tacking right here. It's very important that orange 5 defends the right, either by tacking in front of black 2 or tacking below and leading him back to the right. But they make the fatal mistake of letting the port tacker duck them. Keep that in mind. Orange 5 just let black 2 duck them. So now we're at the top of the beat. There's orange 5 up top, doing well in the race. Top 1 or 2 here. And here's black 2 just tacking on to starboard. But because black 2 is able to duck orange 5, now she has a piece of her coming back. And now she can control her and push her back to ley line. And look at the way all 3 black boats are in the upper right in that strong right that Steve was talking about.
And Team Extreme converts to the 1-2.
Well, nice, Dave. You're on a roll. Would you mind just taking us down the first reach and around mark 2?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. All right, so now we're going down the first reach. And let's say the pink team here, 21, let's say they're in ABA. So they're here, the blue team is B, and let's say they have a teammate back in here. So they're trying to slow down blue 23. Well, blue 23 is not going to come to windward of them. It'd be too easy to be stopped. So they're going to go to leeward. Once they come into leeward, they can't go above their proper course. So 21 knows they can't be luffed. But look what 21 is doing to even further slow down 23. They're pulling the boom to windward. And some people call this the Legler, after the legendary Tufts coach Ken Legler.
Some people call that move the Legler, pulling over the boom beyond the center line of the boat to slow down and maximize the blanketing effect to their opponent.
Another play we use on the first reach is called the 17 trap. The 17 trap. So here you can see, here's Mark II up ahead. And then the yellow team is in the 1-4-5. A little tough to see in the sun, but trust me, the yellow's got the 1 up here. And then they have the 4-5. The 5's job is to gap the 6 back, to put a gap between the 4 and 5. The 6's job is to push the race down. And 5 is doing that. You know, the 5's doing that. But there's a trap you can use, and it's coming up right here, where the boat ahead will actually intentionally let the boat behind become overlapped to leeward. And give them mark room. They're going to let them have mark room. You're thinking, why would you ever do that? Because it's a trap. It's a trap because the boat that's to leeward came from clear astern. And whenever you come from clear astern, within 2 lengths of the boat ahead, Rule 17 says you can't ever go above your proper course. So that's what's happening. So watch the windward boat start to open up here. The windward boat is opening up the gauge. If the leeward boat comes with them, protest. And they're going to get penalized for sailing above their proper course. If the leeward boat doesn't go with them, which they're not allowed to, then the windward boat just jibes onto starboard. You've just acquired the right of way, so you give the windward boat room to keep clear, no problem. And now the yellow boat's in the strongest possible position down there to leeward.
Nice.
So let me finish off with the Mark II trap. This is a garden variety trap, but it really shows all the things that are important in a trap. This is how a mark trap works at Mark II. The whole key to the mark trap is the spacing. And the whole key to the spacing is when you enter the zone, you want the bogey right behind you. You want them right on your tail. So you can see here, the red boat's done a perfect job in A1 here. They've just entered the zone, and the B is right behind them. You want them within a foot of your rudder right there. The A2, the teammate, is also got perfect spacing. You want to be back about a boat length. So there's no chance that during the trap, you're going to get stuck on the B. So a boat length of spacing is perfect. And in fact, if it's good for one team, bad for the other, the spacing in the B here is terrible. The B boat should be back right in front of the A2 with a boat length of water between them and the A1. So good spacing for red, not good spacing for blue. Now the next part of the trap here, Steve, is as soon as you enter the zone, you go down. You always go down first and then slowly luff. And while you're luffing your leeward boat, and you can go up the head to win, but you'd prefer to stay in the zone so that if another B was coming along, you still have the mark room. Okay, so we'll watch how this plays out as the boats go through here. The key is the down move, down. That means almost for sure the B is going to get locked to windward there. Now they're locked to windward. Slowly luff. You have to give them room to keep clear. And your teammate goes through. So that's a successful ABA trap.
Sweet. I like the comments on spacing. That's good to know.
Yeah, very cool. So Steve, there we are. We rounded Mark II, and now we're down the run. So take us down the run. What are some of the team racing strategies and tactics on the run?
Well, when teams are less experienced and they're just new to team racing, they may want to just get down the run and then maybe do a mark trap at Mark III. But as you get better and more experienced at team racing, you can actually literally slow someone down that's behind you, it's a higher level skill. It's hard to do. It's easy to lose the opponent. But as you get better, you actually slow your boat down by over trimming the main, luffing the jib, and literally positioning yourself between the opponent and the mark. And you're trying to create an overlap and luff them one way or the other. And just as we talked about a strong side upwind, there's a strong side downwind. So as you're looking downwind, going down the run, it's to the left.
Nice.
And the reason is you come in on starboard. Whereas same at the top, you come in on starboard. Downwind, you want to get to the left. So if you have an interaction with an opponent, you have starboard advantage. So while you're slowing your boat and trying to slow the opponent behind to do a pass back, you want to be just to the left of that opponent.
Nice.
And then, let's see, I have a video that I can show a few of these details. Let me pull it up, share my screen. And then later we'll talk about Mark III, which is a great place to do a mark trap. So this is a video at practice, and we're doing a combo drill. We have a 1-3-6 for the black team and a 2-4-5 for the red team. So you'll see here that red number 4 does a great job of exactly what we just described. He's just to the left of boat 8, looking downwind. He gets boat 8 hooked above him and luffs them, passing up boat 6. Let's watch.
136 245. Careful here, Diego. Careful on the big luff. Bear away.
So right there, he gets 8, luffs them beautifully. I'm saying be careful because it seems the high school kids love to hit each other. And all you want is the position. You got to keep stressing that. Just get the tactical position. Don't hit. Don't bring the judges into it.
Nice.
And then I want to point something else out here. We mentioned you want to stay to the left of your opponent. Well, look at boat 7 here, the leader.
Hey,
They're
Steve,
actually
grab your pointer because that'll show up on the video, and it's a great point you're about to make.
Okay, good call. So look at boat 7 here. They're letting boat 6 get to their left. And fortunately for boat 7, 6 is a new team racer. They don't quite know what to do with it. But let's watch how it plays out here.
Bear away, so nice.
So you see 6 is hesitating on what to do. They should have just jibed and tried to get the starboard tech advantage and taken first place. Then the race would be a lot easier. They could play forward. But as Dave talked about earlier, the plays guide everyone on which way you're going. And boat 4 here is calling play 2, which means, hey, boat 6, let's slow down and slow 8 together and try to pass up our third teammate. Well, let's watch what happens here.
So Diego called play 2, which means he's trying to pass up Calvin in boat 5, red 5. So in theory, Sammy and Diego are trying to pass up Calvin. Sammy, the play's backwards! Sammy, slow down, the play's behind you!
So you'll see that as a coach, as I said earlier, you want to keep it simple. It's kind of like herding cats. What you want everyone to know is what is the play? What's your role? As Dave says, there's an actor and a role. And I think it's really important to keep it simple. And Sammy should be back here, helping Diego pass up boat 5. So
Nice.
yeah. So Dave,
Cool.
you have a great video you showed us before of the yellow and the black teams racing. Could you pull up that video for me from Mark 3?
I sure can. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Mark 3. Of course, Mark 3 is a big moment in every race, and sometimes it's where all the action is. So I'm happy to tee this up for you.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, thank you. So Mark 3, as Dave said, is a great place to do a mark trap, and I think it's one of the reasons it's very safe. And that, let's say you do a mark trap at Mark 2, you're going to start a run with an opponent right behind you, and advantage to them to cover your breeze. But if you do one at Mark 3, you're going to jibe to a beam reach and then go upwind. So it's much safer to have opponents right on your tail. And also there's this zone I call the coffin corner where the lead yellow boat's setting up here, and it's between marks 3 and 4. And if your opponents slide into that zone, they have no good option. So you'll see here, as he's pointing out, boats 1 and boat 3 black are sailing into what I call the coffin corner. And the leader's doing a great job. As Dave said, they're right in front of the opponent. They're going to enter the zone, slam on the brakes, and then the opponent has no great option. They're either going to try to go inside, which they don't have room, or they're going to go up and over the yellow boat, and it's a really easy luff for the lead yellow boat here, which you'll see happen in a second. But before we move on, there's always a defense to what someone's trying to do. So the lead yellow boat's trying to do a mark trap. Look at black number 2 boat, who's off on the right side of the screen here. They know that the leader of yellow is going to do a trap, so they sail around the outside. And that's what you should have your teammates do if they see someone trying to trap them. The most right boat should sail wide and around the outside. And that puts pressure on the mark trapper because they think to themselves, uh-oh, I either need to trim in and go way over there to that opponent and potentially leave the zone, and everyone behind them can go in there and take room and pass them, or they sit there and they just get passed. So it eventually makes them trim in and go around the mark, and you'll see that in a second here. So let's let it play and we'll watch what happens. The trapper's doing a great job. Yeah, thank you, Dave, for pausing. they get what I call a 2-for-1 special. There's 2 opponents side by side, and you never want to do that as a team when you're approaching someone trying to trap you. You're just giving it to them. So the leader here is going to get 2 boats and slow them down, and they're going to pass boat 14 into first place. And I think they had a 1-4-5 before. So now they're play 1, or they're in a 1-2. And you'll notice boat 2 is going around the outside. So the boat 13 would sit here forever if they could, but that 2 boat's making them trim in and go. And you'll see they do just a perfect job, and they just trim in on time to get a piece of boat 2, making them jibe. Now 13 will jibe, and they're 1-2, which is perfect. But had they hesitated or waited a half a second, the 2 would have gone around the outside and been in second place. So everybody did a great job there, especially boat 13.
Well, listen, all this talking about team racing is making me want to go team racing. And if you let me share my screen for 1 sec here, Steve, I want to go team racing against you. And I want to start at Mark 3 and race you to the finish. And you'll be one combination and I'll be the other, and we'll see what you're going to do. And we're going to totally pay homage to my 2 buddies, Gary Bodie and Ken Legler, who you can both see in this picture here, because they did this iconic article for Sailing World magazine, which I put in your pre-read back in the 90s. Gary is coaching at ODU, the Naval Academy, and Hampton University, and Ken's been at Tufts pretty much since we stopped sailing college together. And they were really the 2 pinnacle coaches in team racing back in the day. And they had more fun with this article. And I just commend it to everyone. And so Steve and I are going to take a little page from you guys. Both of you are here. Gary's with us tonight too, also on the show here. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And this is with full respect to you guys. So Steve, let's go racing. I'm going to give you the screen and let's race from Mark 3 to the finish and show me what you got.
Awesome. Sounds like fun.
Why don't you start off in the 136? You'll be the blue boats, and I'll start off in the 245. And tell me what you're gonna do to me down the last reach here and around the corner onto the last beat.
Okay, this will be fun. I'll take the 1 position. You know, and I tell my kids the best thing you can do is be the 1, right? If you want to help your team the most, try to get a good start and go fast. And when you're behind, you're not really. There's not a whole lot you can do, maybe besides gap the 6 or something. But so here's the 1. I'm thinking, okay, what combo am I in? 1-3-6. So that's play 1. I'd like to pass up my 3rd boat into first, ideally. So let's go through the animation here. I'll slow down on this reach, luff up, and if you go above me, I'll be happy and just luff you there for a while. But you're smart. You push low, they call it, knowing that you can keep me moving a bit. So I'll have to over trim my main, luff my jib, and let the 3rd place boat on my team sail up and over the top of both of us into the 1-2. And yeah, I got you. But you know, you could get me back here, so it's important how we exit this bottom mark area. So they say the first of a pair tacks. So I have a pair of boats here. So the first should tack, but they're pretty high level and smart. So they wait a little bit until one of your teammates tacks, and then they tack at the same time. So now they're going to cover your teammate going left. I'll cover you, Dave, and head out to the right. And ideally, if my teammate and I keep an eye on each other and the crews help with this and we balance for each other, we can finish the race 1-2.
Well, I'm mildly impressed. But that's not the way it's going to go down, my friend. Because if I'm the 2, I have no interest in getting near you. In fact, you're poison to me. And I'm going to be slowing down and putting myself and go grab that 3 long before you can grab me. I'm going to do unto you before you can do unto me. So I'm going to try and hook your 3. And one little trick I'm going to do for that is to do a big sudden down and get you to windward of me. So let's see if we play that forward. So I'm the 2. I'm going to gap back. I'm going to put my bow down, a sudden slow, and then in a moment of weakness, you go above me, and now I've got you locked in. And now I get the 2 for special. And now my 2 teammates both go by. Of course, we're in play 2, and we're actually going to convert the 2-3-4 right before we get to Mark 4. But let's stop here, because we still have a bit of work to do to make sure we put this thing on ice. So there's a formation coming out of Mark 4 called the weave. It's one of the ways the 2-3-4 can operate. Let me explain one way to do it. One way to do it is have the lead red boat, the 2, tack around the mark. So she just tacks around the mark and goes fast. The 3 also crosses their wake and tacks to windward. So you're going to see the 3 tack here and hold it right there. And meanwhile, the 4 is pinching slightly. By pinching slightly, it makes it really hard for the 5 to ever get going. So my 2 is tacked around the mark. My 3 is crossed their wake and tacked up on their hip. And my 4 is pinching slightly. Then as the 5 and 6 come around the mark, the 2 tacks back onto port. And if the 3 has to duck them, no problem. So now you play it forward. And you can see the 2's got the middle, maybe occupying the 1. The 3's got the left covered, and the 4's got the right covered. So we pretty much have it pretty well blanketed, Steve. It's going to be hard for you to get by us there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, nice job.
All right, I'll give you one more chance. So let's do the last combination. It's the most fun combination in team racing. It's one team's in the 1-4-5, and the other's in the 2-3-6. The 1-4-5 is the third of the stable combinations, but it's the least stable of the stable combinations, if you will. So you have a little work to do. But the 2-3-6, you have quite a bit of work to do. So why don't we race that one out? And you go first. You're in the 1-4-5, out of Mark 3. What are you going to do?
Okay. Well, my 1 wants to keep the 1. And the rule of thumb is do not lose the 1. But you don't want to sail off into the sunset and be so far ahead you can't help out if needed. So, how far ahead should you be? You'll be asked that question many times. I think it depends on your confidence level, how fast you are, and maybe what leg you're on. So if I was going to start a run, I don't want the 2-3 right behind me to high-low me. So I'd probably be 5 or 10 boat lengths ahead, ideally, to be comfortable. On the bottom reach, maybe 1 or 2 boat lengths is fine. And starting the last beat, maybe 2 or 3 boat lengths is fine. But if it's super shifty and kind of a crazy, weird day, maybe I'd want, 5, 6, 7, 8 boat lengths ahead so I could just keep that 1 at all costs. My 4 is going to be pushing your 2 and your 3. So if they're good, the 4 knows that the 2, 3 are probably going to come after them at some point and try to slow them. So they're just trying to push as much as they can, get to the finish line. My 5 is going to try to create a gap by slowing your 6. So the play 4 is a stable combo, but it's actually only stable if there's a gap between the 4 and the 5. If it's real close, I think as we'll see later, it's kind of anybody's ball game. So the 5 tries to hammer the 6 and create spacing between the 4 and the 5. So Dave, with that, what are you going to be doing in the 2-3-6?
So are you going to luff my 6? It's so far back. Isn't that just a little rude?
No. I love being the 5. It's really fun, to just hammer that 6. But you got to be careful because if you foul, which is also easy to do, the whole thing gets blown out of the water. So you got to slow as best as possible without fouling.
All right. Well, now you got me fired up. So first of all, if the gap is good for you between the 4 and 5, our first job is to get rid of the gap. But, in the ABA, if you look at it for the red team, look for the ABA. It doesn't exist. It's actually an AABBA. So what I always think of is the 2 and 3 have to work like one boat. They've got to be a solid A. And they have to compress the 4 and 5 into a solid B and then work on getting their 6 past them. So the first thing we're going to do, Steve, is we're going to slow down together. So I like the fact that my 2 and 3 are really bumper to bumper here. They're slowing down. Your 4 is not going to go to windward of us, so they're going to come into leeward. Perfect. We are bow to stern, so we're creating an uber wind shadow here. And now we're doing the Legler. Our booms are to windward. We're luffing our jib. We're wiggle-waggle the tiller. And we are putting the brakes on all 3 boats right here. And the 6 is doing a great job of pushing the 5 into us. So the 6's job is just to keep pushing, threaten the hook. And our job by Mark 4 is to remove the gap. So we've done a good job there. But our work is, we're just starting to work right now. So when we round Mark 4, the 2 and 3 have to double cover the 4. So we're going to set up a double cover here. And the way we're going to do it is around the mark, the 3 is going to pinch slightly because, again, it's hard for the 4 to get going. And then the 2 is going to wait for your 4 to tack. And you're going to see it right here. So when your 4 tacks, my 2 goes with and reaches, puts the bow down hard and reaches across the top. And my 3 hips up. So you can stop right there. Perfect setup. Now my 2 is hammering on the 4, jibs luffing, booms to windward of his light air, and pretty soon the 4 is going to want to attack, and my 3 is right there ready to attack in their face. You're going to show it here. 3 is going to attack with them, so both boats are going to attack together and completely try to slow down the 4.
Boom.
Now, meanwhile, the 6 needs to attack and bring the 5-6 pair back to the middle so we can be helpful. So the 6 is going to attack here and drag the 5 back into the middle. So you're going to see it right here. The 2-3 are hammering on the 4. And then here comes a big moment in the race. Play it forward. You're going to see the windward of the 2 red boats is going to tack off and go with the 5. And you're going to see it right here. So off they go. And now, and stop it right there. Perfect. So now you've got the 3 who's dropped off and picked up your 5 and trying to work that pass back. And the 2 is hammering on your 4. And the whole key here is the 2 wants to slow your 4 down to let the 3 catch up to the same ladder rung. The line across the breeze that the boats would be even on. So right now the 2's got to slow down the 4 and let the 3-5 pair catch up. Once we have it balanced, then it's going to be tough for your 1 to know what to do, and our 6 is going to come up in the middle, and we're going to take the race. Well, what's your 1 going to do about that?
Nice. Well done. My 1 was kind of hoping to just sail to the finish line and watch his 5 keep gapping the whole way and have a nice, easy victory, but your team did a great job. So now as the 1, I'm forced with a decision. I have to do something. I have to take action. That's why I don't want to be too far away. And I have a decision tree. And the first branch is, there's 2 groups. Which group is closer? And if one group is closer, I'll go to that group and try to make a pass back happen to go play 1. You can see here that this pair is a little closer. This group's closer than this group. So I'm going to swoop in and try to do a pass back. And the second branch of the decision tree is if you happen to be even, which your team wants, I go to the bigger group. And I think it's because there's 2 opponents there. Maybe I can make something happen on that side. But here, you weren't perfectly balanced. So I would swoop into this upwind pair and try to get to the finish line 1-2 before this group gets there. And you'll see the cool thing is there's 2 pig in the middle groups here. It's one of the reasons that drill's great is that, 1, we want to do a fast pass back here, but also maybe it'll come down to which 2 is better, which pig in the middle is better at making this take forever.
Nice. Well, listen, this is so exciting. I happen to have a great video of a race at the Wilson Trophy that ends up with a 2-3-6 up the last beat. You want to watch it?
Oh, I'd love to.
All right, cool. One of the premier team racing events in the world.
Excellent.
Racing fireflies on a little reservoir. We're picking up the action at Mark 1. It's so easy to see the boats. It's the white team against the black team. The white team rounds in the 1, but the black team rounds in the 2-3-4. They're right behind them. So we're going down the first reach, and it's easy to see the combinations there. Obviously, the job of the 1, white, is to keep the 1, and the 5-6 just have to go fast. They just have to go fast and catch up. The 2-3-4, that's a really solid combination. The 2 should be pushing the 1 here, and maybe the 3 and the 4 gapping back a little bit to make sure that the 5 can't come in there. So the 1's doing a great job, and as Steve said, you want to defend the left downwind, so that the 1 is jibing to the left, meaning they're always going to preserve the starboard card, and they'll be on the inside at Mark 3. So all the action is down low left. So here they're coming into Mark 3. The 1's done a heroic job of keeping the 1, sort of slowing the boats down behind them, all set to go. I'd say the 2-3-4 is making a big mistake here. They're stacked up. And actually, you don't ever want to be stacked up when you're a 2-3-4. You actually like the 2 closer to the 1 and maybe some space there. But as they come into Mark 3, I want you to watch what the 1 does. They do a fantastic move. It's called a fake jibe. As they round Mark 3, they're going to fake the jibe. All hell's going to break loose. And then you're going to see going up the final beat, a textbook 2-3-6 maneuver out of the white team. So enjoy.
Yeah, he's got to slow it right down because the distance between the green mark and the white one is very, very short. So he's got to really tighten it up here now.
Here we go, Hawk's trying to push him around. Hawk's blanketing there, you can see we've got... someone's taking a spin. Looks like Hawk's going to go through into first place. Looks like a Hawk's can go through, but it looks like the Exempt will go through to a 2-3-4 combination. But it's not a race-changing move. There's a red flag already from... So, Exempt go through to a 2-3-4 combination, but the Exempt boat is doing a spin. The West Kirby boat is doing a spin, but it's whether or not that was a race-changing maneuver. Hawk's second boat not yet through. Difficult to see what boat number 6 is doing. Looks like they're going to really do a job on boat number 3. Last Hawk's boat pushing him out. He's going to try and get in there. Is he going to try and get it through the gap? He's going to hero or zero. Oh, there's been a collision. Looks like boat number 5 will be doing the spin. Doesn't change the race at all. It's still a 145 to the Hawks. So boat number 2, maybe he's going to push back on 5. Boat number 1, really with difficult decisions. He's got to hold the 1 and trust his teammates. Hawks holding a 145. Boat number 3, maybe just trying to push out to the wall. See the finish line, the wall really won't come into effect here, so they've got to be able to make sure they don't get pinned. They, number 2 and number 5 boat just coming back into it now. First Hawks boat going back in, double teaming in here. But this could be quite risky here for exams, but they've got to throw everything in Muscovy here. Pushing out to a 3, but it's whether or not he can get through and tack, whereas the 5-6 boat, Steve, really racing up now. Looks like a 145, but the Hawks boat number 3, has he got a chance to come back on starboard?
Well, if anyone can do it, it's Andy Corner in boat number 3. Years and years of experience. 2 on 1, won't phase him out at all. He'll still go for it.
So, and then the Hawks and the exam boat coming down on the reach here, so maybe change the 5-6 combination. It looks like a 1-4-5 still for Hawks, but maybe the pressure here is on the 4-2-5. The 5 is held by the 2. But I think in the last position is the boat number 3. So for Hawks here, boat number 2 is really going to hold 5. The 5 is coming through quick. What can boat 4 do? So this could be a change around here. It looks like exempt boat number 5 is coming through. They come through to a 2-3-5 combination. Can the exempt come through? Hawks take 1. But the race is for 2-3. It looks like a 2-3-5, 2-3-4 combination. Exempt come through to a 2-3-5. 2-3-4 combination.
Well, there it is.
No, that's great.
Can't be more fun than that. So, it's such a fun game, and I'm so glad to see all the fans and whatnot. So listen, as we wind down here, our friend Stu Gilflin at US Sailing knows we've been here, and I know this one's going a little over time, but hang in with me just a little bit here because Stu and the Education Committee at US Sailing has been doing working overtime to have programs to help coaches and sailing instructors not only get through the spring, but get ready for the summer. So he had a couple of things he wanted to point out to you that will hopefully be helpful. So first of all, is your program trying to determine when you can get back on the water? Are you looking for guidance on how to run a regatta in this new normal? US Sailing has compiled a number of valuable resources and documents to help you figure things out. They've also produced guidance documents for junior sailing programs, protocols for returning to competition, and a liability and release waiver template. So if you just go to ussailing.org, the website, right on the upper right there, you'll see a site for coronavirus resources, and hopefully that'll help you there. Also, we know the Starboard Portal has been an active every day. There's programming out there. And, Steve, look for the people that aren't on mute. Thank you, Steve, if you're able to do that. But obviously, we've got, they had Rolex Yachtswoman and Yachtsman and Yachtswoman of the Year, Stan and Sally Honey on this week. Travis Odenbach from Quantum Sales. And then, of course, Mike Kushner does his weekly workout on Friday. So if you want to work out tomorrow morning around 10, you can just go to US Sailing, check out the Starboard Portal. Also, being a member of US Sailing provides you coaches lots of benefits, including discounts on MTI life jackets, Zodiac powerboats, Sail Flow, content from Dave Dellenbaugh, Speed and Smarts, which is the best sailing magazine out there for information on sailing. Also, your membership in US Sailing allows them to help support programs like this webinar that you've been involved with, and other products like Sailing Drills Made Easy and Skill Up. And they're going to continue their membership benefit to high school sailing coaches through the end of the month. So if you just put in the code MAY ISSA, you get $15 off the individual membership. If you have more than one sailor in your family, there's family discounts. And if you do a multi-year membership, you can save some money too. So, and finally, Stu wants to thank you all for filling out the survey. The information is going to help him and the committee develop more programs that will help you all. If you're looking for more information about coaching, go to their website and look for Coaching Essentials. It's a center for coaching information. So the last winners of their gear giveaway were William Sweeney, who won a US Sailing Team hat and belt, and Isabel Lloyd, a copy of Sailing Drills Made Easy. So congrats to them. And finally, you may have heard of the National Coaching Symposium. We'll look for an announcement in a few weeks. They're working on a hybrid model that will have some regional connections and online presentations as well as other things so you can be involved no matter where you are. So there you go. And it's hard to believe, Steve, that it's coming to an end. I didn't want this one to end.
I know.
It's been fantastic working with you, and it's been a great 4 weeks. Anything you'd like to say to the coaches before we depart?
Yeah, just that it's been a real pleasure spending these 4 sessions with you. It's been an honor as well. And I hope maybe you learned a couple of things from Dave and I that can help your team be more successful next season and into the future. And also just to run a more fun practice. You know, at the end of the day, hopefully all the sailors in your district have a better time and fall in love with sailing more like we all did. And Dave, it's also been a real pleasure working with you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm back at you, my friend. I thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and you know, you're a coach. You're right still in the business, so you know I really respect and appreciate your willingness to share all your knowledge, all your experience, all your tips and tricks with your peers. So whoever's got the noise in the background, if you could kindly mute that. We're right at the end here. But what I want to say, Steve, is that your contribution here is going to make all the coaches better and all the sailing better in the U.S. And as JFK famously said, a rising tide floats all boats. So, you know, thank you so much for that. We also want to thank many other people. U.S. Sailing, their support's been fantastic, not only financially but in programming. Geraldine Beal and Jared Wogelmuth, Jared from the San Diego Yacht Club, have been great in terms of all logistics for this series, and they are going to put the recordings online with all the transcripts and the pre-reads, and Tim's going to mention that in a minute, but we thank Jared for that. And also to all the coaches. I couldn't have enjoyed this more. It's been a great 4 weeks, and seeing you every week and talking with you, it's been great. So thank you for that. And finally, I'd like to thank Tim Hogan, our president and leader. Tim is the president of ISSA, and man, he cares a lot about high school sailing, and it's been so evident throughout all this. And Tim, thank you for all you do and all you care. And any final words from you, Tim?
Well, first I'd like to thank you, Dave and Steve. You guys did a great job. It's a lot of fun watching the team racing. You get excited about getting out there and go sailing after that last finish. But great job. And I think that high school sailing is going to get a huge benefit out of these 4 sessions. So good job all around. We're going to post the recordings online. So that'll be posted, should be by next week. And then we're also sending a questionnaire out to all the coaches. We'd like to get your feedback so we can decide, do we want to do this again? So
fantastic.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, I'd like to invite all the coaches to turn your cameras back on. Come on back into the room. You can come off mute now. Listen, you guys have been very patient, and I hope you enjoyed that. What I want to say to all of you guys is that all of us we have young people, and they're traveling on their path to becoming adults. And while we have a chance to work with them, thank you for your time to help them become capable and competent young adults and have a passion for sailing. So thank you all, and it's been a great session, and have a great rest of your spring, and we'll see you around sometime. So thanks a lot, and drive home safely.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
summer
Thank
here.
you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
We really
Nice
appreciate
job,
it.
Dave.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
All right, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
doing it again.
Super fun.